agree, man. There has to be a complete rebirthing, a burning of the old and bringing in of the new. Just to what the significance of the Bitcoin price passing gold.
Bitcoin is rocking, and it is rocking right at the number one monetary instrument for central banks, gold.
Gold.
Bitcoin price is what 11. I think it's 11.30 now or something. Gold's
Hmm.
at 12.30. I mean, Bitcoin is gonna blow by gold, blow by you, as Jerry Brown's ex girlfriend used to sing. You remember Linda Ronstadt? Blew by you. Yeah,
I had a
that's
car one time with a paint color called Blue Bayou, but go
blew by
ahead.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
um, so yeah, Bitcoin is being recognized for what it is. And everybody who says, "Oh, China's not involved in Bitcoin anymore because their volumes have gone to zero," yes, their volumes have gone to zero, but their volumes were fake volumes.
Yeah.
They were trading, 5, 10 million coin. I had one week in, I think it was January or late December of 2016. In one week, 65 million Bitcoins supposedly traded hands on the Chinese exchanges. 65 million, when everybody knows
Wow.
there's only been 16 million Bitcoin ever mined in the world. So that number is completely ridiculous. And it has to go, and it
Yeah,
has
why
to.
is there a disparity in numbers? It's like 65 million. Is that counting bits, the little fractional Bitcoins that
No,
are given out,
no,
or
no.
actual whole Bitcoins?
It's the problem and the situation in every electronic monetary exchange. The problem with the COMEX, the problem with the stock market, the problem with everything is that it's a fractional reserve system. These are not real Bitcoins being traded. They're not recorded on the blockchain. This is a
Ah,
pool. This is a pool. It's just like the COMEX trading 100
sure.
billion ounces of electronic silver during a year, which is impossible. But that's what they do. That's what the numbers kick out to. And that's how you control the price. When you have computers and derivatives, you can control the price of anything by just increasing the volume and making it more volatile. The situation that happened in China, the government came in and said, "Hey, cut it out. We don't want another Mount Gox going on." And
Yeah,
Mount Gox was in, I think it was located in Japan. And here's
it
what
was.
happened. Here's what really happened in Mount Gox. Their
Mm.
volumes were through the roof as well. And everybody's like, "Wait a minute, are these exchanges because the exchanges don't record any of these transactions on the blockchain other than Bitcoin coming into the exchange, the pool of Bitcoin within the exchange, and then coming out, they gotta, when they pay out people, they gotta put it on the blockchain. So
Yeah.
you have millions of coins trading every day at Mount Gox, except I think there was only 800,000 total Bitcoin within the exchange. And then people start saying, "Wait a minute, why is there, 10, 20 million Bitcoin trading every week in this exchange Mount Gox?" So people started to take their money out, their Bitcoin out,
Hmm.
removing the actual Bitcoin within a blockchain transaction. That's when they shut down and said, "Oh, somebody stole all our Bitcoin." They didn't steal all the Bitcoin. Their fractional reserve system was being called, and people were moving the real Bitcoin out of the system, and there wasn't enough Bitcoin to go around for the amount of owners. So it shuts down and goes belly up. Same thing was going on in the three exchanges in China. With one week, it was 65 million Bitcoin supposedly traded hands. So the People's Bank of China went in and said, "Oh, we're telling you to stop this right now. Stop lending on fractional reserve," because the exchanges weren't charging for trades; they were charging for the margin used in leverage, because the exchanges knew there was probably maybe a million actual Bitcoin within the entire exchange that was being traded, and yet 65 million in a week traded hands. So as soon as people start pulling their Bitcoin out, that the whole Ponzi scheme falls apart. Same with the stock market. Same thing goes on in the bond market. Same thing goes on the silver market and the COMEX. So basically, the People's Bank of China went in, told these three exchanges, the BTCC, OKCoin, and Huobi, that you need to fix this. You can't lend on margin anymore. So what did the exchange do? They froze all outgoing Bitcoin transactions
Mm.
because they don't have the Bitcoin, and that you can still trade on those exchanges, But if you want to take anything out, you have to take it out in cash. So a lot of people, sold their Bitcoin, took it out in cash, and went somewhere else to try to buy Bitcoin. And that's where they are now, is that the exchange is still frozen. No one can remove any Bitcoin. I don't think they might not ever open again. They might, but people won't have the Bitcoin they think they have within these exchanges, because they never had it in the first place. It was all a fractional reserve system. So right now, and if you look, the volumes have gone to almost, they're below like 30,000 Bitcoin per day, where it used to be millions. And everybody's like, oh, China's going to destroy the market. No, the Bitcoin price has actually gone up since this happened. And the reason is these weren't real Bitcoin transactions. This was a fractional reserve system of rehypothecation. Everybody and the exchanges don't care, because they made money on the margin. They care about where they make money. And so everybody's playing with this pool. It's like musical chairs. Everybody's playing with this pool of Bitcoin. And as soon as people started pulling their Bitcoin out, that's when all three exchanges said no more withdrawals of Bitcoin. It makes it obvious. You can take money out, you can take cash out, but you cannot withdraw any Bitcoin, because we don't have it. I know it says it's in your account. It's just like stocks and bonds and COMEX contracts. I know it says it is in your account, but we don't have it. It's owned by 10 other people for the same Bitcoin. But it's a great thing. It is an amazing thing for the legitimacy of Bitcoin, for the price of Bitcoin, because people are starting to wise up to these to the exchanges. They all do the same thing, and even the online wallets. That's why when you have an online wallet, you have a public address, but they don't give you the private address, because they don't want you to pull your Bitcoin out, because they use the same thing. It's all in the pool that they own. So if you own Bitcoin, get it out of the exchanges, get it out of the online wallets, have a little in an online wallet, so that you can, if you use it for daily transactions, it's easy to do. If they're rehypothecating these assets in a fractional reserve system, which every single one is doing, you got huge risk when this monetary system falls apart.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I think anybody wanting to keep their Bitcoins in an exchange, it's foolhardy at this point. We've had Tone Vase on, and one of the things that Tone always talks about is, you got to have it in your hand. If this is one of those things, you can't trust the bankers with Bitcoin. It's not the move. It's not the move to make. And
the banks are and the governments are in these Bitcoin exchanges as well. Don't think it's mom and pop Joe Bitcoin lover in there, making the prices move. They're the big money's in there. I think the Bitcoin Illuminati are in there, which is
the Bitcoin Illuminati.
Oh yeah, these are the Bitcoin people. I think there's 30 of them that Richard Branson invited to his island 2 years ago.
Oh yeah.
And then last year in June. And if you look at the price of Bitcoin since then, it's been just slow and steady moves right along the trend line. No big moves up and no big moves down, because they knew that was the problem. When Bitcoin early on hit $1,100, it went up way too fast, too soon, and the market riggers can blow it sideways, and that's what happened with the Mt. Gox, and it went from $1,150 I think per coin was the highest, down to $200 a coin. And it's taken years to build that back up, and so they don't want a moonshot. Slow and steady wins the race. So there's these Bitcoin Illuminati. They're selling when the price gets too high, and they're buying when it gets too low.
I love it, the Bitcoin Illuminati. That's awesome.
but you think about it. I mean, a lot of the Bitcoin guys are Silicon Valley guys who have money to burn, and they're heavily into Bitcoin. They're funding a lot of venture capital stuff, and they see the end of the electronic monetary system too. These aren't dumb people,
right?
So they're preparing, and they want Bitcoin as stable as possible going forward. But I do think we've hit a point, especially when it passes the price of gold, will be a symbolic point where where Bitcoin will become a solution for the central banking problem, and every country in the world, the central bank of that company will print money to buy Bitcoin, so that they get, for international transactions, it's the best thing possible. And I think when it crosses the price of gold, the symbolic nature of that will really kick into the big money people, and the central banks will be printing money to buy Bitcoin and probably gold and silver too. So that we're approaching it. I think when Bitcoin crosses gold, there'll be a lot of articles about, countries owning Bitcoin versus owning gold.
Yeah.
And there's an argument both ways, and it's a clear argument. And it's getting harder to get large amounts of gold, although I think there's a lot more gold out there than what they say. Having said that, there's a hell of a lot more monetary instruments, money, derivatives, these electronic things we call assets these days that are completely fictional, invented in the 1970s by Alan Greenspan. Who would have thought that the electronic asset world would be what everybody relied on and pledged their allegiance to? It's crazy even to think about it, considering before 1980 there was no such thing as an electronic asset.
Right. It's pretty funny. You I'm sure you caught Greenspan's latest where he said, Ron Paul was right about the gold standard.
Oh yeah.
Again, he's coming out for it. I mean,
he should have said Bix Weir was right about Alan Greenspan. I mean, it is so obvious what happened once you dig in. Alan Greenspan was a computer expert in the 1960s. He was a huge gold bug.
He was an Ayn Rand acolyte.
Oh yeah, and his mentor was Arthur Burns, the Fed chairman, who wanted to go back onto a gold standard, but then ended up printing money like it's going out of style. And then, so Alan Greenspan worked in the Council of Economic Advisors behind the scene, rigging the markets with computer programs that he invented. He's the guy who screwed up the Y2K thing. He's the guy who only put 2 digits instead of 4. Alan Greenspan has been and is one of the best computer programmers in the world, and always has been. He's just been doing it from behind the scenes. And then in 1987, when he was put as the head of the Federal Reserve Bank, everybody was scratching their head saying, why are you putting the biggest gold bug in the world as head of the Federal Reserve Bank?
I remember.
It was quite simple. It's because he runs the computer programs that determine prices on every single electronic exchange in the world.
Yeah.
And that's where we are today. There's no such thing as a free market. There hasn't been free markets since the invention of the computer and the derivatives. So, yeah, and then as soon as he got out of the Fed, one of the first things he says is we need to go back under a gold standard, knowing all along that he can click a mouse probably at his house and destroy the whole system. That's what Root A is. Root A is the basis for the electronic monetary system. It is the root program that controls it all.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's where you found the cryptic messages that were on that Federal Reserve of Boston's website.
Yeah, the comic books,
right.
Wishes and Rainbows, released in 1981, written by a computer expert, and Alan Greenspan was right. It's the story of Alan Greenspan and Arthur Burns, how they learned how to rig the system, and that's what. And then the teacher's guide to this comic, it was re-released in 2007, right before the crash. It's the Wishes and Rainbows comic, and then the teacher's guide is called The Road to Ruta, a teacher's guide. Everybody who says that, you're reading too much into that comic, it doesn't say that. You need to read the teacher's guide, which says exactly what I say. It talks about how the need for a gold-backed system, the need for scarcity in a monetary system. This is coming from the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston.
Yeah.
And once you understand, go through my documentation. I have a YouTube video called the Discovering the Road to Ruta. And it walks you through person by person. Who is Stephen DeVoe, the guy who first implemented this Road to Ruta plan? He was a computer expert in the 1970s, and there weren't many of them. And he worked for the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston, and then he went on to be the world-renowned project implementation expert. And to this day, nobody knows who these guys are. They all did it behind the scenes. Alan Greenspan's the only one really visible, but nobody knew he was a computer expert. His best friend invented BASIC. His best friend was a guy named John Kemeny, and he was actually Albert Einstein's mathematician.
Wow.
Yeah, John Kennedy was brilliant. But yeah, he invented basic computing. Do you remember that basic computing back in the 70s? It's probably before your time.
Basic was no. Basic was the first computer language, bro. That was
It was the
before
first.
C+.
It was the first shareable. It was the
Yeah,
first
shareable,
shareable.
right. It was before C plus and all that. C plus
Yeah,
plus and all that. Yeah.
that's where Ruda comes from. It was originally released in 1964, and Alan Greenspan was using these programs to write his financial based programs, which evolved over time into our current electronic monetary system.
It truly is remarkable, man. Remarkable.
But and so I mean, what it means to us today is that this electronic monetary system was never meant to. It was meant to grow as big as it is, but it was always meant to implode and go back to a gold standard. That's why they called Alan Greenspan bubbles, is he kept interest rates too low too long when he was as the head of the Fed. But that was all part of the plan. He knew that if he gave the banks enough rope to hang themselves, he would. That's why he removed regulations, and the banks have created these monetary instruments called derivatives, which will implode everything. And that was always the idea: crash the system and go back onto a gold standard.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's the only way to go, man. Especially
there's another way now. You can crash the system and go onto a Bitcoin standard.
Yes, or do both.
Really,
have a hybridized system.
Yeah, true. If you really want to go down the rabbit hole, and I don't have factual information on this, I contend that Alan Greenspan was involved with or is Satoshi Nakamoto, the person who invented the first Bitcoin, wrote the Bitcoin white paper. Because it is well known that the CIA was involved from the very beginning, and Alan Greenspan, being the number one computer programmer on the monetary side, was involved. I'm sure he was involved in the early days of, before Bitcoin. They were trying to do an electronic form of money. It just never worked because there was a double spending problem. And remember when Bitcoin came out, was it 2009?
Yeah.
Greenspan had been basically gone from the Fed for only about a year or 2 years. And all of a sudden, there's this brand new technology, a new form of money that, if you read the Bitcoin white paper, it's all about inventing a form of money not controlled by central banks, but functions as good as gold. And that's right from the mouth of Alan Greenspan. So I do think there is a connection there.
Absolutely, man.
Although he's denied it. He's denied it ever since, and he denies anything related to computers, other than he was the Apple spokesman, or the Apple IIc spokesman in the 70s and 80s.
Yes, he was. Amazing. Anything on your radar, man, before we close out?
No, nothing. I'm speaking down at the Anarchapulco conference this weekend.
You lucky man, you.
Yeah, leaving the rainy north and Northern California and headed down to the sunny beaches of Acapulco.
Nice. And on the way back up, come by to New York. I'll meet you in Brooklyn. We'll go have a slice over at Best Pizza. Maybe we'll go to Staten Island.
Did you just say Best of Pizza? You didn't say Best of Pizza.
No, I said Best Pizza, not Best of Pizza. Best of Pizza. No. Okay. Oh my God.
No Pizzagate going here, baby.
No. Real pizza with real Italians and Sicilians, bro. No, none of that stuff.
I'm all over that. I do. I got to get there, and when I used to go to New York a lot when I was working for the Man.
Yeah,
I don't travel that much.
Get over here, bro. Let's go to like Little Italy, man. We'll go to Lombardi's. Dude, you would gain 20 pounds hanging with me.
Oh yeah, just what I need. Excellent,
bro. I'm telling you. Then we go get the nice cannolis. Oh, some nice espresso. It's game over.
I'm in.
Dude, I'm serious. Let me know. We will plan a smorgasbord. We'll do a live broadcast from the city. It'll be awesome.
See, you'll have to show your face then.
I'll show my face.
I might do it just so that you show your face.
Yeah, dude, I'm game. I'm just trying to lean my face up a little more. I'm trying to grow this beard thing going on right now. But yeah, it's not
more
working.
Hair for the gorilla.
I'm trying, man. I gotta join CJ in the chest shaving. Kidding. Oh man, Bix, why don't you plug your site as well as your work, man?
roadtoruta.com. Put your email in. Sign up for my YouTube channel. I got those 2 videos on the Orville Dam conspiracy, the false flag conspiracy. It's pretty funny. You can see me out in my greenhouse spouting off in the rain, and it's pretty funny. So yeah, come check it out.
Awesome. And with that being said, guys, I am Viv, and you can follow me on roguemoney.net and follow us on Twitter at @TheRogueMoney. You can follow Bix on Twitter at Road to Ruta. And with that being said, we are over and out. Take it away, CJ.